talk about what I call the four forces of the entrepreneur's apocalypse. So in, all the work that we've done over the years, we've identified like, yeah, we love for this curve to always go up and to the right. But just like the natural forces of gravity, it's not just a good idea. Gravity's the law. I learned that in Mythbusters. That was a good one. Not just a good idea, it's a law. There are these forces that work against us, even as we're pushing up the mountain, even as we're going through, as we are going through that journey, we've got these forces that are constantly pulling against us. You know these, and I think it's helpful to just put a label to it. There's this concept of name it to tame it. I think once we name what these forces are, then it allows us to isolate down like, oh, this is what's happening with this person or this group. And now you can start to isolate and think about how that's affecting you and what you can do to overcome those challenges. So the first of the four forces, you should see a page in your workbook that has this. The first of those four forces are your customers. Now you might be saying like, wait a second, customers are good, right? That's what they do. They give us money. But if you think about it, how do customers actually work against you sometimes? In the chat box, what are some things that your customers do that actually work against you as you're trying to grow, as you're trying to scale, as you're trying to system build? What are some things that customers do that just drive you nuts or serve against you? Too many custom requirements. Yeah. Oh, if you just had this feature and if you make the buttons blue instead of red, gosh, then we'd buy, right? Bespoke requests and needs. Oh, we need this integration to this system. Gosh, if only you would integrate to AS400, then we'd buy, right? Like what? Consuming resources because they're not serious buyers. Custom requests might take you off course given their needs. Yeah, like especially in that earlier stage, if we're just starting up, getting the first 10, or even in the ramp up stage, when we start to get some repeatability and we want to accelerate sales, we go, oh, we got this new lead. Let's go sell to them. Let's not, we got to hit the $1 million mark in the next 12 months so we can get the Series A. Well, sometimes those people aren't the right customers. Pricing pressure. Yeah, like, seems expensive. Really? Because how many millions of dollars are you wasting right now doing it the old way? Kind of feel like $50K a year isn't all that much. Rod saying being unclear about expectations. Like, oh, if you do this or that, then we'll buy. Then you go do this and that. And they go, oh, wait, actually, we need these things too. So yeah, customers are our friend, but they also work against us. So that's the first force. The second force are investors. This is probably a little bit more obvious than customers, but same thing. You're like, oh, wait, investors are good. They give us money, right? But ... What do investors do that work against us? Whether it's, that early friends and family round or a seed round or a Series A, what do investors do that work against us as we're trying to ramp up and scale up? What are some of the things, some of the things the investors do that drive you nuts? Hit me up in the chat box. Probably all have like 20 things that you're typing in right now. There's this and this and this and this. But again, I think it's important to really label this. We know customers are a force. Investors are a force. Get revenue, grow. Yeah, we just gave you this money. Why haven't you grown? We just invested in you back in July. You haven't grown sales yet? Take time away from managing, right? Oh, could you just like send me a dashboard of the business every month? Meanwhile, that dashboard takes you 12 minutes, 12 hours to put together. They waste your time. What else? What are the other things, crazy things investors do? Let me hear one or two more. I know there's just more than time and pressure to grow. Come on, hit me up. Unless you guys are typing out a list of like 20 things. Suggest other markets. Oh yeah, your product would be really great over here, right? They want you to do more for less. Yeah. So yeah, they're great. We need them in most cases to grow the business faster. However, we also have to figure out how to filter the information and filter those requests. They're asking you to conform to their ideal success for their portfolio. Yeah, one of the investors that I talked to 2 weeks ago runs a seed fund based up in Portland. It just raised a brand new fund. And he said, we're going to invest in 70 companies seed round. So it could be anything from, they're going to lead some rounds, they're going to, they're going to contribute in some rounds, and anywhere from, some of the investments might be 100,000. If they're contributing, they might lead a round and do as much as $1 million or more. But he said, we're going to invest in 70 startups with this round. I was like, wow, that's a lot. He said, yeah, and it's just a numbers game, because we figure 1 out of 20, 25 actually hit for us in the big scheme of things. So we invest in 70, figuring if we get 2 or 3 of those to pull through and big wins, then we win. It's like, okay, what about the other 67? So they have, look, they're running a business. They run their business the way they run their business, and they have to run it that way. But we also have to be conscious of the fact they have their own incentives. So we have to balance that when it comes to how they're managing their portfolio. What about this next one? So we've covered customers and investors. What about your team? How can your team, again, like, wait a minute, our team is great. They work long hours and they put in those hard work. I couldn't do anything we do without our team, whether it's a 2-person team, a 20-person team, or a 200-person team. But how does your team work against you as you're trying to move up that growth curve? What are some of the things that happen with your team that actually serve as a force that pulls against you? Think about it. Wow, Jamal and Nishu both hit something that's big, right? They may not be ready to grow. They might be resistant to change. And we talked about getting out of our comfort zone. Like, maybe you personally are totally happy getting out of your comfort zone. You're looking to make those big jumps, those big leaps. But what if the team isn't ready to do that? What if they're not willing to do that? They may not be the right fit for the role at each stage. Absolutely. So maybe that engineer was really great in the startup phase to get the product launched, get the first features and integrations. Maybe that person isn't able to grow and may not be the fit that you need going in. Team A isn't always team B, which isn't always team C. You see this, whether it's people like Beyonce, that, like, think about what she's doing. She's constantly looking at, okay, who's the best manager? Who's the best voice coach? Who's the best backup singers? Who's the best instrumentalist? Who's the best score producer? Who's the best choreographer, right? As much as she wants to keep that team together, if you look over time, she swapped some people out because she knows that she needs to. Some of the people that got her here are not the people that are going to get her there. Absolutely. I was texting with a guy named Zach Stein, who was a client of ours for a while. He's made a huge pivot, and now he's working on a new company called Carbon Collective. And a couple of years ago, I was just texting with him on a Friday. I was like, because I was working on a presentation like this, I just wanted to get his perspective. I said, Zach, when you think about your team, like, what kind of pressure does your team put on you? And he was texting back, and it's, that you see the 3 dots, like, okay, he's writing something, and then the dots disappeared, and the dots reappear, and the dots disappear. And I was like, God, what's he going to write? And he said, the team doesn't put any pressure on me. I just don't want to let them down. And I thought, that is powerful, because he knows he's not the only one working late. He's not the only one giving up health insurance. He's not the only one that wants to have a family. He's not the only one that's tired. All of them are doing the same thing, and for far less reward at the end. I think that's a sign of a great leader, but it's also important to be cognizant of what that team is putting in and what they're sacrificing too. And that leads us to the fourth force, which is yourself, the people closest to you. Whether you have a partner or a spouse, parents, kids that you're trying to take care of, brothers, sisters, whatever that is, the people around you, your support network. So how is it that you yourself serve as a force that works against you, or the people around you? How can they serve as a force? Maybe not intentionally, of course, but how do they serve as a force that works against you?